Tonight, 2 women in hospital after a rollover on McGarry. Wide Bay house prices surged to record highs. The Salvos left furious after a spike in illegal dumping. And a potential game changer in diabetes treatment.
This is 7 News with Joanne Desmond.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. 2 women are still recovering in hospital after a vehicle rollover on McGarry on New Year's Eve. The pair was airlifted from Sandy Cape to the Sunshine Coast. Trent Neese has more.
Joe, the 2 women were airlifted in a serious condition around 11 p.m. on Sunday night.
It's understood the pair both suffered spinal injuries in the crash, which occurred just after 6 p.m. The task for rescuers was no easy feat. Not only is Sandy Cape located at the northernmost tip of the island, but crews were forced to fly in darkness, with both rescue helicopters battling strong winds. The women were both taken to the Sunshine Coast University Hospital in a serious condition. It's unclear what caused the single vehicle rollover. It's been a busy few weeks on the island. A man was airlifted on Boxing Day after suffering burns from radiator fluid, and on Thursday, the Life Flight chopper was dispatched after a jet skier was thrown off when he hit a rogue wave.
Joe, 7 News understands both women tonight remain in hospital in a stable condition.
Oh, thanks for that, Trent. Tragedy struck in Urangan this afternoon after police discovered 2 bodies inside a home on Sandy Street. 7 News understands officers were called to the address just after 12:30 this afternoon. The bodies are believed to be a couple in their 70s and their deaths are not being treated as suspicious. If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health, help is available. You can call Lifeline at any time at 13 11 14. Interest rate hikes and affordability pressures didn't slow home values last year, with new data revealing quite the opposite. The Wide Bay recorded a median increase of 7.8%, but experts warn the surge could be short-lived.
Everything seemed to be pointing to an unstable housing market last year.
Very high interest rates, cost of living crisis, housing affordability constraints are becoming more apparent.
But demand has trumped economic pressures.
So for buyers, there's simply not a lot of stock to choose from. That in itself creates some urgency. Buyers can't really negotiate all that much. Homes are selling quite quickly.
That's driven up home values, not just across the state, but across the country.
Regional Queensland housing values were up nearly 9% over the 2023 calendar year. At face value, such a high rate of growth is really surprising.
Experts have also been surprised by the rise in house prices.
We've seen regional property prices up about 8.5% over the past 12 months. The average buyer can borrow about 30% less. So the fact that prices are still rising is actually quite astonishing.
But that's predicted to fall as the delayed impact of high interest rates plays catch up.
2024 is probably going to be a little bit softer than what we saw in 2023.
Hataya Grupski, 7 News.
Wide Bay residents are being urged to steer clear of roads as torrential rain and flash flooding swamps large parts of Queensland. A flood watch has now been placed on the Mary River following heavy rainfall between Bundaberg and Lismore over the last week.
The roads will be dangerous and life-threatening flash flooding could occur in places you don't anticipate or you can't consider flooding. It can happen in an instant.
QFES has received nearly 5,000 calls for assistance since Christmas and more than 50 people have been rescued in the last 24 hours. Salvation Army volunteers are asking the public to act with dignity and stop dumping rubbish at the charity's drop-off sites. They say the donations left after Christmas have created the worst mess they've seen in years.
The Salvos truck is used to deliver donations to the needy, but it might as well be a garbage truck. And it'll be headed for the tip with this load of rubbish dumped by unthinking locals.
I know it costs money to go to the tip, but hey, come on, we're human beings. You know, let's act like it.
Salvos volunteers discovered the dirty donations this morning, soaked by the recent torrential rain and unsalvageable.
Foodstuffs. Yeah, this is probably the worst I've seen it.
Locals visiting the store were just as unhappy with the unsightly mess of drenched, broken and unpleasant items.
What are we as a society, eh? You know, what are we coming to?
There are people out there, needy people that need these things, and if it's just left out in the weather, it's going to be ruined for anyone else to pick up anyway.
To avoid more pungent pile-ups, Salvo's volunteers suggest taking donations to their warehouse or holding on to them until stores reopen next Monday. Salvo's captain, Chris Millard, says people need to take responsibility and dispose of their rubbish legally.
Yeah, it's a pretty disgusting habit, honestly.
We love the people donating. That's how we exist, as people's donations. But when you actually start going through this, a lot of it is just common rubbish.
Jamie Tenikoff, 7 News.
Researchers are closing in on a breakthrough cure for type 1 diabetes. In a life-changing discovery, they've identified drugs to potentially eliminate the need for round-the-clock insulin injections.
Eliminating reliance on insulin injections or pumps is a dream for many living with type 1 diabetes. That's now a step closer to reality.
We are repairing the damaged pancreas of individuals that are living with diabetes.
It's really hard to convey how exhausting it is managing being an organ all the time, and the prospect of being able to be my full me is really exciting.
Researchers at the Baker Heart and Diabetes Institute have discovered a way to regenerate insulin production in those living with the disease.
We've harnessed stem cells that naturally are present in the damaged pancreas and stimulated them and instructed them to make insulin again.
We found 2 drugs that influence the pancreatic stem cells to behave like insulin-producing beta cells.
The 2 drugs identified by the researchers are already approved to treat rare cancers in America. Now the research is published. Preclinical testing will begin this year.
The therapeutic pipeline now is to test this in animals.
Researchers hopeful the breakthrough treatment could be available within a decade.
The idea now is to invest with industry and commercial partners to fund the gap in research funding.
There's the possibility that for all of us, we might be able to say at least goodbye to some of this 24/7 job.
It could also be life-changing for up to 30% of people living with type 2 diabetes who also require insulin. Sarah Jane Bell, 7 News.
A group of clinicians is hoping to reduce hearing problems, which affects 1 in 3 Aussie kids. They say half those children aren't getting the help they need, so they're planning to expand hearing centres across the country.
When Eva Savoy was born, she was diagnosed with permanent hearing loss.
It's not something that you ever imagine will happen, and we didn't have any family history of it, so it was a real shock.
Now the 4-year-old is speaking clearly.
Hello.
Thanks to clinicians at the Shepherd Centre.
Which has really enabled her to meet all her language and speech milestones, and she'll be starting preschool next year.
1 in 300 Australian children will have some degree of hearing impairment by the time they go to school.
We know that listening is so critical in a classroom. It's fundamental to reading, it's fundamental to social skills, executive function.
Unlike Eva's parents, half don't seek help. The Shepherd Centre wants to close that gap, providing specialist care, speech pathology programs and cutting-edge technology at clinics in New South Wales and Tasmania, funded by the NDIS along with generous donations. The centre has seen an uptick in enrolments over the past 2 years, up 25%. And as time goes on, staff want to help more children across the country and around the world.
We know there's an unmet need across Australia. We're working through our research program to take what we have here and enable that to happen in different places around the world as well.
Giving the invaluable gift of hearing. Angelique Opie, 7 News.
Well, ahead tonight, a grim warning aimed at keeping us all safe around water. And Hervey Bay celebrates the new year in style. Thanks for joining us here on 7. The Royal Lifesaving Society has issued an urgent plea to be safe around water, especially with many areas across the state battling floods. 35 people have already died in Australian waters since December 1.
A hot Queensland summer almost always involves time relaxing by or in the water. But if it's not played safely, lives can be put at risk.
Even in our inland waterways, we can't recognize them anymore. So people really need to know that the spot that they normally would go to, it might not look the same.
The Royal Lifesaving Society says recent heavy rainfall has raised concerns of a surge in preventable deaths.
Please stay away from flooded areas. Don't go swimming in flood-related water. Don't go driving in flood-related water.
Out of 90 drownings across the country last summer, 37% were in inland waterways and more than half were along the coastline.
So far, we're up to 35 drownings right now that occurred between the 1st of December till now, and that's like a 13% increase from last year.
Alcohol was also a factor in more than a quarter of cases.
If you're going to have a few drinks, please don't enter the water. That's going to make you more liable to get yourself into trouble.
And as always, swim between the red and yellow flags.
If we can't see you, we can't save you. So yeah, just come and visit us in those safe areas.
Tiani Reid, 7 News.
A Hervey Bay man has brought in the new year as a millionaire, picking up a cool $2.3 million in Saturday's Gold Lotto draw. The man was one of 13 Division 1 winners, saying it was an impromptu decision on the day to try his luck at the prize money. The winning ticket was purchased at News Express at Eli Waters, making it the third Division 1 win since 2019. Well, thousands of people farewelled 2023 at the Torquay precinct on Sunday night. A dazzling fireworks display topped the celebrations. The 12-minute show wowing onlookers who said it was the best they've seen in years.
There were concerns storms would dampen festivities, but nothing would stop Hervey Bay from celebrating a fresh start.
The crowd are just rolling in by literally the thousands. It is really thick.
The new year was brought in with bustling beachside markets and live music before loud bangs echoed through the city. Close to 10,000 packed into the Torquay precinct watching the dazzling 12-minute display.
A lot of work goes into organising such events, and for the public to get something that costs them nothing, just come and enjoy in this day and age in nice weather is well worth it.
Of course, some had their New Year's resolutions ready to go.
I just enjoy 2024, whatever it brings. Spend time with the family and the kids.
It's going to be a good year. Hopefully I can get my head straight, get myself into uni, get into a good routine.
To never have a New Year's resolution again.
Exiting the precinct proved a challenge. There were long delays on streets surrounding Bill Fraser Park. The start of 2024 didn't start well for some. Police were called after a fight erupted shortly after the fireworks display. But, for the most part, a night many won't soon forget. Trent East. 7 News.
You've got a spectacular show, certainly the place to be.
Absolutely.
Time now to have a look at what's happening in sport and an active start to the year for Hervey Bay runners, Luke.
Yeah, while some people were in bed, they were doing things differently, Jo, and it seems like a nightmare for some, but Hervey Bay's park runners, they couldn't think of anything better. We will have more on that next, as Gympie's Brett Baxter was close to making the podium at Toowoomba Speedway.
Stream 7 News anywhere, anytime, live and on demand on 7plus. And with 7news.com.au, you'll know the news now.
Welcome back to 7 News. Well, Hervey Bay runners got the dream start to their new year, turning up in force for Park Run yesterday morning. It was a chance to hunt down a new personal best for some, and for others, it was just about getting outside and active.
They say you should start as you mean to go on. And that was the way for those who took part in Hervey Bay's Park Run yesterday morning. Usually held on Saturday mornings, the group also runs special sessions on Christmas and New Year's Day.
It's always a great feeling because it just
refreshes the mind and gets the body set for the rest of the year.
I think running alongside the water, it's beautiful, the views that we get here. The people that we have make this event really inviting.
Riley Payton runs more than 100 kilometres a week and is eyeing off the marathon this year, but he still loves pushing himself at park runs.
Just want to be in a competitive and friendly environment and, try my best every time, and it's rewarding to see PBs every few weeks.
But it's not just the top runners who take part. Anyone is welcome to walk the course or lend a hand and volunteer.
Research shows that being active, being social or volunteering will all help you live longer, so come along and give Parkrun a try. You'll get all three things.
And tips for those with a New Year's resolution to be more active?
I think consistency is key, so putting in every week if you can or as often as you can to achieve your goal, that's the key.
Start off slow if you need to and always try to have fun with it. That's the most important thing, to always have fun with what you do.
Hervey Bay Park Run meets at 6:45 every Saturday morning at Urangan Pier. Jack Lewis, 7 News.
4 Maryborough indoor hockey stars are gearing up for the National Championships in Canberra. Aniston Chappell, Genevieve Ferguson, Jessie Staples and Annalise Tevant are all wearing the Queensland maroon after taking out the state title for the Heritage City in November. They will begin their campaign at 11 a.m. with a tough match first up against New South Wales. Well, storms across the Wide Bay forced Carina and Maryborough Speedways to cancel events, but Gympie's Brett Baxter had his foot to the floor against the best modified sedan drivers in the country at the T-Bar Nationals on Sunday night.
Fireworks fittingly opened the special New Year's race as the country's best battled it out in the Classic.
And what a sight this is!
Bob McCoskey's night came to an end with 13 laps to go after his car rolled and came to a stop upside down.
Holy smokes. What a ride.
I guess that's my first big trip like that, and that just seemed to be like forever upside down there.
Mitchell G was in front for the entire race, but he was nearly overtaken several times. In the end, though, the Sunshine Coast product held on to take the checkered flag.
But Mitchell G will lead green to checker and win the Ian Botcher Classic.
Huge thanks to Ian Botcher and the whole Botcher family for putting this on, and they're the reason I got started in Supers.
Well, Brisbane's JJ Hamilton and Rockhampton's Matt Williams crossed second and third respectively.
At the end of the day, he had the best car, and we pretty proud of what we've done. It finished 36 laps and didn't break down, so pretty happy.
In the modified sedans, Victorian Kai Walters claimed his maiden T-Bar Nationals title.
He's a former national champion. He's now a T-Bar Nationals champion. Make some noise for Kai Walters!
Lots of words and stoked, and we've been trying for this one for a long time. We've run nearly every other big race there is, and it's been on the bucket list.
Fellow interstate drivers Brad Witts and Brodie Christie also made it onto the podium, while Gympie's Brett Baxter and Toomba's Shane McDonald claimed 4th and 5th respectively. Fraser Ramsden, 7 News.
And Joe, that is the night in sport.
Great. Thanks for that, Luke. All right, we'll stay with us after the break. Rosanna joins us and she'll have all the details on the weather for us.
Hello, Rosanna Natoli with tonight's weather. Gosh, hasn't it been wet in parts? A severe weather warning has been issued for the southeast coast and southeastern parts of the Wide Bay Burnett districts. The heavy, locally intense rainfall may lead to dangerous flash flooding. Showers will be staying around for most of the week. Checking those rainfall figures now to 9 this morning, and McGarry received 150 millimetres, Rainbow Beach 141. Temperatures today across the Wide Bay Burnett, a range of 21 to 28 degrees in Hervey Bay, while Bundaberg reached 29 and gained to 28. To the satellite loop, and a trough off the coast of Queensland with a shallow low just east of McGarry, right in here, is what's generating the thick cloud extending onto the southeast Queensland and northeast New South Wales coasts. Areas of cloud and a few thunderstorms are present up near the Gulf country as well. On today's chart, that coastal trough remains slow moving near the southern Queensland coast, and it's enhanced the rainfall all around through that vicinity. Onshore moisture is moving south into New South Wales. On tomorrow's chart, the trough sitting out east of the southeast coast will start to make its way down into the Tasman Sea and towards New Zealand. A high also remains in the Tasman, pushing up cool southerly winds. Now to the latest from the Bureau. The boating forecast for Hervey Bay waters, southeasterly winds up to 15 to 20 knots with seas below a metre. McGarry offshore waters, southeasterly winds at 15 to 20 knots, staying similar until Thursday. Seas are around 1.5 metres. Tidal variations are increasing. Tomorrow's low will be just before 7 a.m, the high around 1 p.m. For the Wide Bay and Burnett district, a moderate flood warning has been issued, a slight chance of a shower and thunderstorm in the northeast, near zero chance elsewhere. Bundaberg 21 to 30 degrees, Gympie 20 to 30, a top of 30 for Hervey Bay and 33 in Gayndah. Looking ahead for Bundaberg, temperatures are tending to stay near that low 30s mark during the day, with the nights sitting in the low 20s. Showers will also be around for most of the week ahead. Now to our favourite photo section, and this simply stunning sunset comes to us with thanks to Mark from Hervey Bay. He snapped this shot from McGarry. Do keep your pics coming. I love to see them. Bye for now.
Great, thanks for that, Rosanna. And that's all from us for this Tuesday, the 2nd of January. Thanks very much for your company. A reminder, you can watch a replay of our news on the 7plus app, or you can catch up on our page, 7news.com.au. From all of us here, enjoy your evening. Good night.